Hey, everybody. Welcome to the L.L.P joint hour with John from the Lost Loser podcast. This week, I have the wonderful PollyAnna from the Buried Pleasure podcast this week joining me from the wonderful state of Washington. What's going on, PollyAnna?
Good morning. It's wonderful.
I know I got you up early. I'm sorry. I apologize. I know you had a long travel schedule and everything that was crazy, but I appreciate you coming on here and doing this. This is one of my favorite things. I'm glad you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks for asking me. Yeah, it's pretty nice.
Hey,
so,
real quick. Good morning. Hey, real quick, tell everyone what your podcast is, what your podcast is about, and I'll start fucking probing you. Well, that's weird. Start asking you some strange questions.
I was just in New Mexico with aliens, so probing.
Oh, so you probably did. And I know what you were there for, so I'm pretty sure you might have got probed.
Oh my gosh, you're so cute. Oh, so anyway, I'm PollyAnnamazing. That's what I like to go by. And I do Buried Pleasures podcast, and you can find me at Buried Pleasures on Twitter, Instagram, Pleasure Pathways as well on Facebook, and YouTube, Buried Pleasures, YouTube. Yeah.
Oh, you have your YouTube channel.
I do. I have a lovely lady that helps me do video editing and put some of my content up for me. She's lovely.
I'll make sure to go and subscribe to your channel.
Please subscribe to Buried Pleasures.
Buried Pleasures. Yeah, I'll make sure to do that. So I know that you talk about all weird things, pretty much sexual on your podcast. And
I do.
I'm a giant pervert because I stopped growing up at the age of 12. So this is going to be a fun podcast. I can't wait for this. We're going to get weird and we're going to say some weird shit because I know you just came back from your 4-day tantric.
Well, it's a tantric retreat. This one actually, this was run by a couple friends of mine, Lori Handlers. If anybody out there is familiar with the sexual education community, she is the most brilliant mind out there. She's fantastic. And her partner, Michael Gibson, put on Extraordinary Lovers Retreat. And it was hot in New Mexico and hot at that retreat. It was an awesome time.
I'm going to ask because I've never been to it. So did you? So you and your husband, I guess, went to this?
No, actually, I went solo. I went with, if everybody out there listens to my show, Sunshine Ryan from Sunshine Ryan Tantra, who is my really good friend. I went to support her actually because she was going as one of the models for the retreat, and it's helpful for people to actually get to see what it is that you're explaining when it comes to sexuality or sexual encounters. So I was there to support her and learned a lot of things as well.
So I'm pretty sure, like most people, and I'm going to say I'm like most people, are like, when you hear the word tantric sex, you're like, oh, that 7-hour bullshit sex thing that Sting says he does. That's about our education when it comes to tantric sex styles.
Right. And that's most people's too, well, I mean, there's all sorts of different tantras. The one that I am tantras.
I'm going to keep screwing it up. I apologize.
No, it's okay. Tantras. There's tantras and sutras. And sutras are the written path to enlightenment. Tantras are the physical acts or, ritualistic parts of what you do for enlightenment.
I mean, I read a book called Kama Sutra. I read and I got physical with that. So how did that work out?
So that's a sutra showing you some tantra. It's just a book.
That's all that is.
Yeah.
And then you go in, perform.
Correct. Well, gotcha. Perform, relax. That's it. It's it was fun regardless. But it's not all about frank sexuality or sexual practices. It's about dropping into pleasure is basically the gist of the whole thing, and recognizing, and this is something that they said frequently over the weekend, was look at yourself. You're at a Tantra retreat. This is your life, right? This is my life. I get to talk about sex stuff with cool people. I get to go to cool places and meet more interesting people. So it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Like, I guess, because just like here's like, I'm guessing like this is a part like this is like a lifestyle change for like most people, or is it like a, hey,
no, I don't know. Well, I just look at it as an educational opportunity. Like, let's say, so you watch something you saw Sting say Tantra is the greatest thing ever, right? That in itself is something that triggers, like, I want to learn more.
Yeah.
So retreats like this are just ways that you don't have to change your life. It's just getting more information. You take from it what you want, right? Like the things that you're comfortable. It does get you outside your comfort zone if you're not an openly or overtly sexual person. But it's nothing that it's like, oh my God, I'm so uncomfortable that I'm just going to put a blanket over my head and be like, fuck you guys, I'm not doing this.
Doing what? Seeing it through like this. Roll. You want to peeking through the fucking knot in the fucking fence post.
Right. But if you think about how life is in general, change causes discomfort, right? And what you want to do is to get past that level of discomfort and find the pieces and parts of the information that make you comfortable, that make you want to explore yourself, your partner, whatever, just in life in general. You didn't know you liked pizza till you tried it, right?
I get it. I see what you're saying. The variety is the spice of life. You don't know what you like until you try it. And just because you like one thing doesn't mean a person or likes another thing doesn't mean you're different or better, I get
right. And when you talk about variety, you also have to talk about the communication piece, which is just exactly what you just said. Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is communicating and figuring out ways that you can talk about certain subjects or topic matters or something. Like, say you like something and your partner doesn't like it or whatever. If you can't talk to each other about it, then you start hating each other. So
then you probably aren't the best of partners to begin with.
Correct. And then you end up with court-ordered anger management, and then the whole world is like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to get to the point where your relationship is such shit that you can't get back on the saddle.
Yeah, you never know. You can end up like that Marine that's in Australia right now going to court. I'll get in that later. We're not going to talk about that. That's strange. I'll tell you that on an offline. You'll be like, oh my God. You say court order and restraint. Let's just say the guy got mad at his wife and maybe set her on fire. Anyways, so yeah,
that's inappropriate. You should see, that's the point. That's how much pleasure and passion in a relationship, because like the funny thing is the crazy girl is always the one that fucks the best, right?
That's why guys stick around with crazy women.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's exactly. So it's passion and novelty and all those kinds of things that really get your juice flowing.
Yeah, like most people hide it with like tattoos or like, they don't communicate it and they fucking because, oh, I like this thing, but someone's going to find me weird and they bottle it up and next thing you know, they're fucking tattooing the top of their head. Right.
Or even people go so far as cutters, people who actually do self-inflict harm on, for just so they can feel something. Yep. And that's a lot of what happens in Tantra is that people are there because they have a feeling that they've lost their feelings. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
They don't feel like maybe there's something else out there that might make them feel a little bit better in the day. So I think that's something that I really hooked on to whenever I first started my Tantra education. It was, there was a lot of stuff that I was uncomfortable with. I'm from Kentucky. We don't learn about that kind of, boys and girls and porn and that's it. And that's it.
It's behind a black curtain.
Correct. In marriage, only in marriage. And, if you think about, like, I can remember my grandfather saying this so intently when I think I was probably maybe 17, 18, that you don't have sex unless you're procreating. Well, okay. What?
Then why
did God? In the Bible, he said. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's crazy talk. How do you what? But it's okay to like have girlfriends and things. Like
I would ask someone like, then why did God make it so pleasurable?
Right.
If he didn't want us to be happy, then why did he make that feel really, really good?
Well, right, exactly. And we're not here to make fun of other people's religions or how they believe, but the fact of the matter is human nature is human nature. And biologically, we were meant to have sexual relations.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how we keep our species on this planet, is through procreation.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of culture, like if you think about it, scientifically, like you can read any of the millions of books out there on primate sexuality and how, you know, how the need for the male to put semen into the female is like, it's a thing, right? And there are a lot of cultures out there and a lot of, you know, a lot of animals that share multiple partners, that's the way that it works. So I mean, even in real life and in the world, there's that whole fine line of, do you have this wonderful partner you want to have sex with every day for the rest of your life? Or do you not? Where do you fall in on that spectrum? Some people believe the more love, the better.
Yeah.
Some people believe that if you don't sit here with me for the next 55 years, I might not want to be with you. You know,
yeah. I mean, yeah, then, you know, there's, you know, the people who, I mean, who are perfectly happy and do everything together with their partner, and they do that life and they live that life. And sometimes you get lucky when you get a partner just as freaking you. It's like, hey, shove another fucking knuckle up there. Let's do this thing and let's have a good time.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
And those people are awesome.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is. It's finding that person that resonates with you, and then exploring things that you might not have wanted to, or may have thought like, well, shit, we have really good sex right now. Why do I want to mess that up? Right.
Why fix something that's not broken?
Right. But it's just when people say that to me, I often think you do have these moments of comfort. Like take your evening time that you have for yourself, where you might smoke a little, sit on the couch, have a drink, watch a show, whatever it is that you do to make yourself have a great day. But what happens when your drink runs out? You got to get up off the couch and get a refill. Right.
You know, yeah, but you know, everyone likes dessert, right?
Correct. Well, I think,
but
I would hope.
Everyone, let's just say, unless you're diabetic and you can't, but that means you probably had too much dessert. But anyways, so everyone likes it.
What's your favorite dessert, John?
I mean, is it weird that I am just a simple plain, like here's my thing, like my wife goes and buys like cupcakes, like no bullshit, like the icing cupcakes like you get at Walmart or to the grocery store, like the 6-pack. At dinner, I will snag one of those and walk away. That's like my favorite. Like if I can just snag a cupcake every once in a while, I'm happy. But you know, I don't want a cupcake every fucking night though. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Variety. You want a variety.
Sometimes you need a variety. Sometimes you need that.
You like pink icing. Sometimes you like green. Who knows? It's just sometimes you like a little sprinkle. And sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you put a little sauce on there and you smack it on. What? Hold on. Where are we at again?
Oh, desserts. You know, it's kind of like a combination of chocolate and like cayenne pepper. Not a whole lot of people thought that would be a good mixture, but it's a freaking delicious treat sometimes.
There's a place in UK. There's a place in New Mexico that has the really good chocolate, the Chilean chocolate.
That's the only reason why you even brought that up. Yeah, New Mexico. It's hot there, and I'm glad they have chocolate. It's hot.
New Mexico's so hot that they put chili in their chocolate. Let's tell you how smart they are, right? Oh, I got family there. So when you're like, oh yeah, I'm in Santa Fe, I'm like, I've been to that airport. Like we were talking back and forth yesterday, and you're like, I'm stuck in Santa Fe airport. I'm like, oh fuck that. Been there, done that.
It was really miserable. I was well, whatever. I mean, thank you, travel gods, for getting me back home safely. That's all I can say. But you know, when you travel, those are the things you have to put up with. But I will continue to travel as much as I possibly can, because again, I'm on this lifelong search too. I'm a lifelong learner, right? I'm a nurse practitioner. I've worn a lot of hats in my days, in nursing in general, but I want to meet new people. I want to connect other people. Like when I started talking to you guys, you in particular, it's like, well, it's funny the connections that we have behind the scenes.
Yeah,
that it's like, oh shit, the world is a small place. It's a lot smaller than it used to be.
It's a lot smaller now, and it's so fun when you meet somebody and you like we met on Zoom calls because we had the mutual podcast with Trash Panda guys. That's how we met. And when we first met, I was like, they start talking, I'm like, I wonder if anybody caught that. And I'm like looking, and you're like, I caught that. I fucking caught that. I see that you caught that. I'm like, okay, we're on the same page now. We can make fun of these guys and make fun of everyone. And it's fun to have those inside jokes with, like, I love those inside jokes with strangers. Like when you go through like the airport Like when you go through an airport and you have an inside joke with a stranger, like you have that moment with it, and that dude or that person or that, they're like, oh my God, you're not going to forget what happened. You're not going to believe what happened, who I ran into. Yeah.
Right.
You're not going to believe what I ran into when blah, 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 or this and that. Those are the best.
So it is. And so what you're saying right there is exactly what happens at these retreats. You don't know. I mean, some people may know each other or have, crossed paths at some time, but you don't know who you're talking to necessarily, but you know that you're in an environment that supports what you are, what your beliefs are. So at least you have a level of comfort. It's not like I wasn't walking into some crazy BDSM tie people up to the ceiling and
they didn't have like the mobile dungeons. They didn't have the mobile dungeons.
It was not like that whatsoever.
Maybe an adult bouncy house. Just saying.
Well, again, there are retreats like that. This one just did not happen to be that particular kind. But like if that's the thing you want, you can find it out there. They're there.
So we talked about this on our last episode of the Lost Losers podcast. I found it like over in England during 4th of July weekend. I think it was like Lincolnshire or whatever little, in a huge field. They had a swing-a-thon with 400, at least 400 couples, and the neighboring towns, like it was like in a field, the neighboring small little towns were calling the cops. Like people were complaining because of the sounds they were
that
hearing.
Produces a lot of energy. Think about it. Okay.
Oh, hey,
that's a lot of energy.
That's a lot of body heat.
That's a lot of body heat, but that's it.
So the first part of this was the greatest thing about the article, and I forgot to bring this up until I just jumped on my head. So the first part of the article was literally people complain about swing-a-thon. Then it tells you what the people are complaining about. And then the next line was we interviewed one guy. He was like, it's people just blowing off steam. The last paragraph was literally an advertisement for the next swing-a-thon. Like they're like, basically, like it's like, oh, you can find it on their website. Like they didn't give you the website though. It's just like swing-a-thon website. They had a mobile dungeon. They had adult bouncy houses. They had seminars. They had it was like all types of shit that they had in this field. And you showed it, and it literally looked like a campsite. Like it was just a campsite with a couple of pop-up tents. And you're just like, I'm like, I wonder what the mobile dungeon was like. Like that's the first thing my mind went to. My wife is like, of course, you're going to the red room. We know what you're going to go look at. You're not going to get hit. You don't like pain. You're not going to get hit. It's like you're going to put your dick in a vice. You're idiot. You're going to go look and be like, why?
Right. Like, well, and that's like you were just saying, and I just want to chime in on, you don't have to be a polyamorous person to go to one of these types of retreats. Like there are open partnered people that will be at any kind of anything you go to.
Yeah.
It's just that, there are a lot of couples out there. And, one of the things that impresses me is as we are getting older, because tomorrow's my birthday, by the way.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. As we get older, do you think you'll want to stop having sex? I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
No, stop it. You're not going to ever want to stop coming. It's not going to be a thing.
And if you're a guy and you have that problem, do yourself a favor, go to a health store or Victory Men's Health or a testosterone replacement, because it's the greatest thing in the fucking world to do. Trust me. If there's a place here, I don't know if they're nationwide or anything like that. There's a place called Victory Men's Health. They do testosterone replacement. They draw your blood. They have like everyone staffed. They have vitamin drips like you. It's like a wellness center basically for men. My wife's like, you should go just to go get your blood tested, see what it's like. I got that.
Okay. Yeah. Think about how much stress and all the shit that's going on with people. And then the first thing that you do when you go to see a doctor, because you're not feeling yourself, you're feeling tired, you're feeling like the world is on your shoulders, you can't do anything. Testing your testosterone levels are getting lower. Every year for men, right? Like that's an actual fact, and that's happening. But you go on an antidepressant because that's what we think is the best thing usually, because you're sad. And well, I say this from a medical standpoint. I don't put people on antidepressants. That's not what I do. But
I've been on antidepressants. Most of the time, the antidepressants make me more fucking depressed.
Right. Well, and it drops your libido.
Oh, yeah.
That's a part of it. That's a side effect of it.
And you get more depressed because you ain't fucking. Let's be honest.
Right. Right. So finding a way that you can, and this is what I tell a lot of people, if you're interested in the word Tantra, look up some stuff first off, educate yourself on what it means. Tantra does not mean fucking. That is not what Tantra means. So I need to put that on a goddamn billboard somewhere.
No, Tantra is like more of like it's more of a essential or like a soul, like mind. Yeah.
Pleasure practices. And that means pleasure in every aspect of your life, not just sexuality, although there are sexual practices built into this, especially and from my point of view, I'm not speaking neo-tantra because I don't do neo-tantra. I teach Tibetan Buddhist tantra, so it's a little bit different. And but
Time out. Hold on.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Tibetan
Buddhist tantra?
Buddhist tantra and what's the educate me real quick, because I went, what's those? I didn't know there was different levels. That's like a red Skittle and a blue Skittle. Let's find out.
Correct. Okay. So one tastes like red Skittle and one tastes like blue. I don't know. Anyway, no. I learned my Tibetan Buddhist tantra. I went to the Institute of Authentic Tantra, created by Davy Ward Erickson, who is a really good friend of mine. She's an angel. We have a Lama. We are a lineage-based Lamanistic shamanism. That's a great word, right? Lamanistic shamanism. Pleasure is medicine. That's it. And that is in all aspects of life. Neo-Tantra is basically, and please, whoever's out there listening, please don't quote me on this, but because I don't want to offend other folks, but it's basically just sexual practices. Neo-Tantra. Yeah.
Neo-Tantra is just basically the sexual practice you are using like our pleasure to heal.
Yes, correct. And then it's not in just a, sexual manner. It's with meditations and,
breathing exercises and every different kind of what brings you pleasure and how to use that to heal yourself.
And what makes what I teach different is that mine is a female-based lineage of Tantra, and from the Shangpa Kagyu lineage of Tibetan Buddhists. So ours is a passed down religious belief that people have used, but also it can be used to teach just the sexual parts or just the meditation parts, or, there's things that you can teach that aren't necessarily in your face blaring vaginas and penises, or lingams and yonis. That's what we call them. Lingam for wand of light. You get what I'm saying. And yoni is sacred space, and that's a vagina. So
as soon as you said sacred space, I'm pretty sure every dude went, I know what that is, and was completely okay with it. All right.
It's so great.
Yes, I'm just saying.
But that is the most simplistic. That's the most simplistic. Yeah. So Tantra is weaving light and form with sound.
Because Pollyanna, I'm gonna let you know me, I'm a dummy.
That's okay.
The people that I know that watch this, it's on YouTube, Lost Losers Podcast channel. Hit the subscribe button.
Subscribe.
Yes, are also not nearly, maybe more intelligent than me, but aren't as intelligent as me. And yes, I'm looking at you, Bill. Anyways.
But that's it. I think that we need a simplistic way to explain Tantra. Yeah. Tantra to me is not just going and having sex parties and that kind of thing. And that's a big misconception for people. Especially when I bring things up at work, people are like, oh, she's going to start.
I'm not going to lie. When you were like, I'm going to retreat. I'm like, oh, did you go with your husband? You went, no, I went solo. I went, I know there was a lot of shit that happened where he was just like, I don't know about it. Just pretend like it didn't.
Okay, so that's a funny thing about my husband, and one day we'll have him come on. You'll listen too. Okay. Dr. David.
Oh, your husband's a doctor?
He has a doctorate. He's a doctorate in nursing practice.
Oh, nice. Yes. Very nice.
He teaches nursing school. He's pretty awesome.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, my son's in nursing school or is a nurse now.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
Nurse.
I think all people need nurses.
Yep, Nurse Thor. So I'm sorry.
That's right. That's right. Okay. But my husband he really honestly understand. We have such a great relationship. It's taken us 13 years to build this, 12 years to build this relationship, honestly. 12 years of struggle and strife. And I got to the point where I was like, okay, I don't think we're communicating. I don't like this relationship anymore. Right. Like I want out. And he will never let me leave. Is what he says.
That's same with my wife. I told my wife if she ever decides to leave, pack my bag with her and I'll go. Okay. I'll go with her.
Right. But he is all about me finding out what gives me pleasure so that I can bring it back to our relationship.
It's awesome.
And that does not mean like we are not necessarily in a polyamorous relationships. I mean, like we don't do that. But we talk freely and openly. If he saw a hot girl walking down the street and he's like, damn, she's hot. Okay, cool. I'm not going to be like, I will grab a knife out of the drawer and slit your throat right now.
Okay. So you have
that was the old me.
Yeah. Oh, you were that one.
That was the old me. Well, because, and I'll tell you why. I had a couple of marriages full of traumas that I had mentally. I get it. As a female, you don't know. Well, as a male, like you enter into a relationship with this other person, right? Male, female, whatever your configuration is. You want to believe everything that they say to you, right?
Yeah.
But those little doubts, they filter in. And so sometimes intuition for females is pretty high. Also, our olfactory sense, our sense of smell is like 1,000 times better than your guys's. So we can smell shit on you all the time. It doesn't matter if a girl raked her perfumed finger across your cheek or whatever, we can smell the most subtle things. Yeah.
We know. Actually, I know. I get it. Because I've had this, you'll like women's sense of smell. You'll love this. Talking about this. I used to work for a big box retail store. It's orange. I'll say that. Okay.
Yeah.
Way to go, Home Depot. So I was a department head there, and this happened. I told my wife this happened to me one time, and she laughed. She goes, "Whatever, you're full of shit. You're just trying to make me jealous." I'm like, I never would try to make you jealous. It was a funny fucking story. And it's happened to me like more than once being there, but it happened one time in front of her. I was helping this couple get some flooring. I just showed up to work, and this lady goes, I get done. I just get their card stack. I help the husband out. I'm like, all right. I'm like, you need anything else? I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And like, good customer service, doing my job correctly. And the lady looks at me and she goes, and I literally went like this, and like my arm went past her face, and my wife is standing right there to like drop my off lunch or something like this. And this lady goes, yeah, you can. What kind of cologne do you have on? I went, I'm sorry, what? And she goes, this is going to be really weird. She goes, you smell fucking terrific. And her husband's right there. She goes, and I'm like, I don't wear cologne. I'm like, I just use soap. I'm like, soap works. I'm like, it's Head and Shoulders, Cold Spots, body wash. I'm like, Tide detergent. I'm like, I just know how to wash my ass. That's all I do. And she goes, and she like leaned in and went and sniffed me. I went, and my wife is like, what the fuck?
Right.
And she goes, all right. She goes, we're leaving and going to Target. And was like grabbing the cart, and her husband is staring. I'm like, have a good day, buddy. I went, please don't. And this dude was, I'm 6'2", and at the time I was probably right around 280, 290. Yeah. I'm not a small guy. This dude made me look tiny. I'm like, please don't punch me in the fucking face, man, because your wife sniffed me. And I went,
that's hilarious. But that's a part of we don't ever think about the genetics of attraction and how our brain chemistry works. So if you think about it in a primate sort of situation, let's talk about that. The job of the male is to put as much sperm in as many females as he possibly can. That's why
we like right. the Napoleon. We must divide and conquer. We like to set up franchises.
Correct. Because the more sex you have, the more propagation of the species there is, right? So
yeah, Genghis Khan.
Right. Seriously, think about that.
Genghis Khan is the greatest. What is it? One in every 200 male.
Yeah, something crazy like that. I don't know.
I think it's 1 in every 200 male is a direct descent of Genghis Khan. There's 7 billion people on the planet, so let's say half of those are male. Think about that.
And don't be fooled by the penguins either, by the way. Have you heard this? Like penguins, people always say they give a little pebble, they mate for life. No, they mate for the life of as long as it takes to raise that one child or that one egg or bird or whatever you want to call it, the baby penguin.
The baby penguin.
And they separate, and then they have different partners after that.
Yeah.
So when I just listened to something, I can't think of what it was called, but anyway, that a lot of the churches around the United States spent thousands of dollars buying the rights to play that movie, the March of the Penguins, because it was teaching that you have to have the two parent, the female have the baby, they mate forever, but it's really not exactly wholly true.
Like most things in history, we only want the part that we can go, look, see, this is the good part. Oh, by the way, after this kid is raised and that kid's like, bye, mom and dad go. It's like, it would be like you, if you were born, like you had 3 kids. Once your last kid went to college, you looked at your partner and went, deuces. And you walked right out the fucking door and did it all over again. That's the best way. But they don't tell you that part. They're just like, we're going to cut it off right here. They have another kid. That's what they do. They just have another one.
Right. Well, I think that happens with humans a lot. Like we only want to hear, with all the stuff that's going on with racism and all that kind of shit right now. Did you know that, think about what you see on the news on a daily, right? That's one person's opinion in this little box of time. And there's billions of us on the planet. So that one person's opinion, everybody starts listening to and says, oh, is that what everybody's thinking? They're thinking that the whole world is such a terrible, negative place. Oh, well, I don't think it's a negative place. Do you think it's a negative place? No. So that's how it gets, it's that small piece of information, just like us talking today. Somebody's going to take a piece of what I say and think it's the gospel. Well, look up your shit. That's what I say, because I might be misinformed in some way.
Everyone knows. I tell everyone, I'm a dummy. I am repeating something I heard, and you have to think of everything is like the game of telephone in life.
Correct.
And everybody, and like I tell, and my wife makes fun of me and this is one of my biggest downfalls. My reading comprehension fucking sucks. It is the worst thing with me. So I read things not once, not twice, but 3 or 4 times. Like when I read a book, I know the book. I know the entire, because I've read it 4 times as I read it the one time. And my wife goes, how come it takes you so long to read? Because my wife would pick up a book and be done in 20 minutes.
Right.
I read a 300-page book. It takes me a fucking month. And everyone makes fun of me about that. I'm like, I'm a dummy. And I'm like, and just because I read, and I read, and then I regurgitate. And just remember, my reading comprehension is terrible. So when I'm talking, it's like telephone here, and you're going to leave a piece of information somewhere along the line.
Right. Well, just as a reminder, everybody out there, if you hear something that resonates with you and you think, oh, is that true? Is that real? Look it up. Find some factual sources. Don't look at stupid shit.
Don't just Google it. Don't
just Google it and take the first thing.
That's it. That first line's right. That is correct.
Right.
And make sure, because you know why? The best part of, and why I say don't Google, because when you look up information, usually the first line, if you're like, let's take COVID, for example.
Oh my God. I hate you right now.
Listen, I'm going to bring this up. I bet you this might get pulled from YouTube just for me bringing it. And here's why. And this is my piece of information about Google. Google COVID or something like that. And the first thing that pops up is opinions, not fact. And it says opinion at the very bottom in a little thing. And you're just like, so people click on that, they read it, they think it's gospel. Then you're like, hey man, that's not true. No, I read it. Look, I'm like, hey man, you gotta look, that's an opinion piece.
Right.
And they go,
Right.
oh, I'm like, yeah, you got to scroll down a couple and see that one. That's a report. Hit that, click that one. That's all right. You're good there.
Right.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
But that's how our world is set up. That's how we're set up. Like for example, during the CHOP here in Seattle, right, where Capitol Hill, they took over the police station and, had everything barricaded up. They were going to be a sovereign nation, whatever.
How did that work out?
Well, it's super funny because every night that it would come on the news, I have family back home that would say, oh my gosh, like it looks like they're marching armies down there. People are dying. And one of my really good friends, Julie, that lives down there in Capitol Hill, she was like, oh, it's like street fair, it's hanging out. Yeah, people did get shot and that sort of thing, but
it was a little out of hand.
Like a festival. Yeah,
it's like it was out of hand, and we got it back under control. These people were taking over anything,
right?
Now
they did cause a little bit of trouble, that's for sure. Like they would not allow police and EMS in, and some people got really.
I know people really got screwed up, and they wouldn't let people really record. They beat up that one guy because he was in there recording on his phone. It was insane. It was crazy.
Yeah. So there were some terrible things, but again, it's the perception of the people. Like she's a young lady and she's just hanging out and going on dates, walking around, and they were handing out food some places where where they were helping people out. But that's the perception. That's it.
Trust me, I live in St. Louis. I'm a flyover. I live in a flyover state. Everywhere I go somewhere, everyone goes, oh, where are you from? I go, oh, I'm from St. Louis. They're like, oh, you're alive? Fuck you mean I'm alive? Like, no, like, how many bullet holes do you have? How many times have you been shot? I'm like, motherfucker, I've never been. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, well, St. Louis, it's like everyone's just getting murdered. They think we're running around here just shooting everybody. It's literally 4 blocks or 6 blocks up in North St. Louis that are terrible. Right. And when I break St. Louis down to people, because St. Louis can't get out of its own way because the people we elect are idiots. I'll just say that, but not to get in that. But we can't get out of our own way. And like the city of St. Louis can be great. We can't get out of our own way. So when everyone hears St. Louis, you think of this terrible fucking crime. And you're just like, listen, man, it's not like that. Listen, this area right here, stay out of there. If you happen to end up in there, act friendly and people will help you. Just be a good person and they won't fuck with you unless that person is a truly an evil person. And then that was just your bad luck that day.
Right. And sorry about your luck. Sorry about your luck. Oh my gosh. I was trying to think of, what do I think of when I think of St. Louis? And I think of Nelly.
That's what everyone thinks of. They think of, oh, you get everyone killing each other, and oh, you got Nelly? You got those Air Force
Nelly, you don't need anything else. I swear to you, I love Nelly. So the only reason why I'm thinking about that is because a few years ago we did picnic in the park. No, Picnic with the Pops. That's it. And Nelly was playing, he was singing in front of the Columbus Symphony Orchestra.
Nice.
It was dope. It was so cool.
He's our ambassador for the city, I guess, nowadays. Now that
sorry, that's all I know.
him and John Hamm, for some reason, St. Louis's own John Hamm.
Yeah, that's it.
Everyone has a crush on John Hamm. Let's be honest.
I don't know. I don't know. I have a crush on so many people.
So yeah, no, but like your communication aspect about that, like when you're talking about, like you said you were like the psycho at one point. Now that you and your husband are there's this nice communication, because now you can be like, my wife does the same. Me and her have this conversation. We always do, like your celebrity one-offs,
right?
Stuff like that.
Right.
We've talked about it on our podcast. And my wife, yeah, you always have those conversations. Like I talk about Chris Hemsworth, how he lives. My wife's like, I'll let you fuck Chris Hemsworth. I'm like, I'm not going to go fuck Chris Hemsworth. She goes, you should though. It'd be great. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Listen, no, so Dave and I, we had this, and actually I did a show with the guys from Just Some Podcast on celebrities that I would want to sleep with. And Jennifer Lopez is always on the top of my husband's and my list, only because, again,
why not?
Why
No,
not?
that's not that it's you have that person. I don't know what the attraction is with Jennifer Lopez.
Oh, well, for me, being, the pasty white girl that I am, exotic people.
You like a star. Okay. You like
no, listen, here's what I like. And this, has nothing to do with accents. It's totally
okay.
The way they talk. So if you have an interesting accent, like she's got that Bronx Brooklyn-y kind of, talk speech with a little background of Hispanic accent, Latino,
the Hispanic Brooklyn accent. You dig that?
Like,
so you like accents.
And I love accents. I'm a huge fan of the way people talk and what they say. I am. Anthropology would have been my other major had I chosen to do so.
So you have a background in we'll get back to that in a minute. So celebrity, but Jennifer Lopez, I don't get it. I don't see the attraction with her because I get the accent. I get that. I could see that. I just don't get the attraction.
And she can dance. Like, have you seen her butt? Like, she's got good curves.
She's okay. So, see, here's my problem. And here's where everyone always goes, are you fucking serious? Like, really? You're that guy? Jennifer Lopez is a very attractive woman.
Yeah.
If you're unintelligent, or if I find you unintelligent, I don't care how hot you are. I would rather see you get crushed with a piano than ever sleep with you.
Okay. You have a lot of passion behind that, I see.
It's not the accent. It's not people's. It's when you talk. If you sound unintelligent, like when you're talking and you don't sound, and it's not with her accent, but I know she's probably a very smart person. She's a very intelligent business person. You know what I'm saying? But when people talk and they sound unintelligent, and that doesn't do with, you know what I'm talking about.
I do, because my mind is just going to the other night when I was talking to you guys, and you guys were all so fucked up.
Oh, when I was on my.
That was like, okay.
Okay. Those days.
That's why I was laughing. So I was like, that's fun. But you have those days. But I understand what you're saying, and I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, and you hear those, you're just like, Jesus, no matter how attractive you are, just get away from me. I don't want to hear you talk. You annoy me. You're already annoying. If you annoy me, basically, if you annoy me, it's lights out. Just, I don't need you.
Yeah. So
I won't talk to you. I'm just get away from you.
I love accent. I love people who have accents, and I don't know, whatever it is in my brain that keys into that.
I get it.
I have a friend he writes horror fiction, right? Keelan Patrick Burke. And I have asked him a million times to say, like, could you please do my Siri voice? Like, I just want to listen to you talk, because he's Irish and it's beautiful. I fucking love it. And he speaks Gaelic, and it's hot as shit.
He speaks
Gaelic.
Gaelic?
Gaelic. Yeah, that's Irish. The language of the Irish apparently
is the Gaelic. I've never heard of that. I've never heard that. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Right.
And I think I'm a well-traveled man, or a well-reversed person, and everyone goes, we'll probably disagree with that.
But no, like that's that kind of
so the accents.
It's just I don't know what it does to me. Whatever it is, it does it.
Everyone who's watching this on our YouTube channel, you started talking about it and slowly started melting into your chair.
Oh, totally, right.
It's like,
there's just certain things, right? You automatically, I'm playing it over and over in my mind, the sounds, and it's like,
do I need to give you a minute? You want to, kill your husband? No. Oh, no, you're good. I'm fucking with you.
No. So that's another thing. Let's talk about that. I don't need my husband to have pleasure, by the way.
Oh no, you don't want,
right?
You don't need
your. He's not one of those. Oh, sorry. He's not one of those husbands that say you can't masturbate because that's mine. I have so many women that come to me and say things like, my husband goes away for trips and stuff, and he doesn't want me to touch myself while he's gone because it's his. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me right now?
And I'm gonna let you know something.
What?
And if if any of my friends ever told me that, if my friends travel, like, man, my wife can't touch herself, I look at them like, I'm gonna let you know someone else is touching it then.
Right.
It's not going to be you.
part of life. It's a part of breathing, eating, drinking. Everything is necessary. Do you have to have orgasms to live? No, but to live, you need to have orgasms.
Yeah. You know, you wouldn't be here if someone didn't. Just saying, you know, big
It's
shout
good
out.
for your mental health. It really is. It releases all of those wonderful things like oxytocin, epinephrine, norepinephrine. Like there's a lot of cool things that can happen to your brain when you put your brain into a positive spot. I think about this frequently as I'm driving to work in the mornings, because Highway 5 in the Seattle area, if anybody's familiar, sucks. The biggest balls in the whole entire world. I hate driving in Seattle, but there are mornings when I can get on the highway and I get to a certain spot and it's like, well, I don't notice anybody around me. Like there's no cars around me. I'm just driving by myself in between two big bunches, two big groups of cars. And I think, oh, well, what a gift this is, that I don't have to feel like somebody's riding my bumper, that I'm riding theirs, or that somebody's going to come over and hit me, switch lanes or whatever. If we could do that in an everyday way, like take a second and realize where we are and be present in that moment. And people are like, what's presence in the moment? Like, really, I am here talking to you about all this amazing shit.
Yeah.
And my thoughts are on our conversation, because if I let my mind wander, then I'm like,
then I'm not, and then I'm not giving my full attention. And that's, that's
right. And so it loses its authenticity when you're disengaged in a conversation or what have you. So it is important to remember that presence, what that presence adds to a relationship as well, because you can be there, like you're there with your wife in the evenings watching TV, but are you actually there with her? You know what I mean? Or do you schedule a time to be with her? Do you schedule time to be with yourself? That's one of the things that we learn in Tantra training, is to schedule a date with yourself. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily a date to have an orgasm or anything like that. You can do those. Those are awesome dates too with yourself. And you can do it with your partner, but you need to have something on the calendar that says, this is a me day.
Yeah.
I'm going to take 5 minutes out of my day to sit here and listen to music, or, half hour, whatever. Something that you do that can disconnect your brain from what is going on in the world and all the shit and all the terrible, so that you can really realize that, oh my gosh, at any moment in time, I can close my eyes and I can think about anything that I choose to think about, right? I can sit here and think about the most awesome and luxurious sexual encounter I ever had in my life. Or I can sit here and think about how I have to go to work tomorrow and that sucks. You know what I mean? Like, you have that option. And some people get stuck in that rhetoric of, oh my God, this is so awful. I'm just existing. I'm not doing anything. Well, you have everything you need right here.
Yeah, you're the person who chooses your mind frame. No one else chooses that for you.
Correct. And your brain is your largest sexual organ, by the way.
Yeah. And clearly, because if I find if I find someone attractive and they start talking, I find you unintelligent, I'm going to walk away from you.
Spank bank.
Yeah. Literally. Right. My wife, literally, who did I have that conversation with? I literally had that conversation with my wife.
Yeah.
She goes, you wouldn't have sex with this person because you find them unintelligent. I'm like, listen, I could duct tape their mouth shut, or hit it in the bathroom for 5 minutes, and that would be it. Like, I could detach myself from that just to know just a nut. I could just
have a sexual release. Correct.
That's it. The nut. I could totally do that. But to have a relationship or to talk to that person for longer than that, I'm like, I would rather choose chopping off my foot. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, but you know what? You get to that point because you're a little older. As old as maybe a little older.
I'm 39. I'll be 40 this year. That's why my body's breaking down all that shit.
Whatever. You can be almost 48 tomorrow.
Well, no,
it is.
Don't look 48. You look good. Congratulations, 48.
Thanks. I appreciate it. No. I super appreciate it. But no, it's your mind frame. It's how you set up your day. You're going to set yourself up for failure if you're hearing yourself be mean all day long, or be angry, or be so fucking unhappy in your job, your life, your relationship. Learn to use your voice. That's a huge part of how you get out of those everyday, like, fuck, I just want to die. I hate it. I want to, I want to jump off a cliff just to feel something. I'm not feeling anything other than dread. You have the power to change that. Mm-hmm. You really do. But it's hard to get to that point where you're just like, yeah, I think I need to change it up a little.
So here, you'll love this because you're a nurse practitioner, about frame of minds and stuff like that. So I told you I went to this place called Victor Men's Health for this testosterone replacement.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So the first time the lady was reading the nurse practitioner I was in there, she was like, "Hey, I have your lab results. I'm going to tell you what I think." And she goes, "I'm going to tell you what's in here." She goes, "And what you were concerned with." And she goes, tells me the whole speech. Uh-huh. She goes through everything. Everything is coming out perfectly. I'm checking out great. I'm like, this is awesome. She goes, "Here's my concerns." Mm-hmm. And she goes, "These conversations are going to get awkward." I went, "I don't think you know who you're talking to, but okay." And she goes, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "We'll find out." I'm like, "We'll talk." Yeah. I'm like, "We'll see." I'm like, "We'll see who's more awkward after this, and we'll go from there." And she goes, and you'll love this real quick. This nurse practitioner is an Indian lady. And the only reason why I bring it up that she's an Indian lady, because I love Indian people, just for the simple fact that if you are lying to them, they will call you on your shit and not think twice about it. I fucking love that.
Any good nurse practitioner will do that to you, though.
But I had an Indian doctor one time. I broke my hand, and he was like, "How'd you break your hand?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm like, oh, no, I broke it. I punched the dude in a bar fight, and I broke it on the dude's cheekbone." I went, "Oh, I fell." He goes, "Right here." "Oh, it crossed the top, the
boxer's fracture." Oh, we know what it is. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So it crossed the top, and I concaved like my knuckle back here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, people try to lie about all the shit that they do. Like, how did that hairspray can get in your vagina? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I slipped and fell. So she is brutally honest. She goes, "Hey," she goes, "when you wake up in the morning, how many cups of coffee do you drink?" Mm-hmm. I'm like, I don't drink caffeine. I don't drink soda. I don't drink coffee." She goes, "What?" I went, "Yeah." She goes, "Yeah, okay." She goes, "Oh, okay." She goes, "When you have sex," she goes, "How often do you have sex?" I went, 2 to 3 times a week. She goes, "Really?" I went, "Yeah." She goes, "That's not possible." I went, "How do you mean?" I'm like, "What do you mean it's not possible?" She goes, "Do you get a full erection?" I went, "Yeah, full erection." She goes, "Do you finish every time?" I went, 99.9% of the time, yeah, I finish, because every once in a while you never know if a kid's going to bust through the fucking door, or
right.
Or if it's a drunk sex night and things just don't want to pop off. You know what I'm saying? You might be a little dehydrated. You never know, doc. I'm like, "Yeah, but 99.9% of the time, yeah, I finish." And she goes, "That's not possible." I'm like, "Listen, not to get blunt or anything like that and sound rude." And she is like, and this has gone on for like 4 or 5 minutes of her berating me and thinking I'm a liar about all these questions. And she's doing it in that not like condescending way where you have to pick up on this berating.
Right.
I was in the Navy. My dad's an asshole. I pick up on the way this lady's Jedi's ways because I'm better at it. And I look at him like, "Listen," I went, "let me explain to you about how things work for me." And she goes, "What's that?" I went, "You can bend over take your skirt, bend over that table. I can think real hard and my dick will stand up." And I'm like, "And I can finish." I'm like, "Do you want to find out?" And she went, "What?" I went, "Not even kidding you. I'm telling my wife this story." My wife's like, "I don't think she knew who the fuck she was talking to when she came into that room, did she?" I went, "No, probably not." She goes, "Do you have to be so?" And then my wife's yelling. I'm like, "Listen," "Listen, doc." I'm like, "I'm not trying to be rude." I'm like, "But yes, I finish every time. My dick gets hard." I'm like, "I don't have erectile dysfunction. I was really more worried about being diabetic and not having colon cancer when I got here." She goes, "You have a testosterone problem or lack thereof." I'm like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "This number," and like she was telling me, she goes, "Here's the problem." She goes, "You have almost 0 testosterone in your system." She goes, "What's more concerning is the hormones that create testosterone." She goes, "Those are almost 0 in your system. One's supposed to be between a 4 and a 7. Mine was less than a 2." She goes, "Those are most of like 50 and 60-year-old men, not someone in their 30s. And she goes, "Oh yeah." So I went there, and Attitude is starting to get better. Wife's starting to hurt a little bit more. Like, it's just a great, pleasurable thing to do. If you need testosterone placement, fucking do it. It's great. Go and do it. I recommend it for everybody.
Hilarious.
All dudes, go out and don't even, if you don't need it, just go get it anyways. Fuck it.
You're hilarious.
I'm just brutally honest. That's my problem. Everyone's like, you're so funny. I'm like, no, I'm just autistically honest.
Autistically honest. I like it.
And it's not, I'm not knocking not autistic people. Not take that way. It's just, they don't, though, autistic people, drunk people, and 4-year-old children are going to tell you what they think. And we love them for them.
Oh my gosh, you're a mess.
I can't have serious.
You like the tea. So what I'm hearing is you like the tea.
I'm like, oh, so this is what it's like to have energy. Oh, this is what it's like to, blah, blah, blah. The only bad thing is I get the energy and then I go start walking and doing everything like that and start getting extra. And then my joints are like, hey, buddy, remember you have arthritis throughout your entire body and can't move like that no more. Fuck.
So you got to stop eating inflammatory foods. Then your knees and your back.
I really don't eat. I'm on a diet. I'm like on a keto diet. I'm like, so I
feel better on the keto.
I'm like, I'm not really on a keto. I'm like I watch what I eat, slowly taking weight off, time to diet. And then I go on kind of a keto friendly diet when I go into my, right now, I call it like my down cycle where I kind of eat what I want. I just watch what I eat so I don't pack on the pounds.
Gotcha.
So what was it, 2 years ago? Let's see. Hold on, let's see, 2019, COVID screwed everyone up. So I have to go to almost 3 years ago. Nope. 2 years ago, 2019. At the end of 2019, I quit smoke. I stepped on the scale. It was like in August of 2019. I stepped on the scale, and I weighed I weighed 310 pounds. And I already told myself if I overweight over 300 pounds, I'd quit smoking and do something. I'd finally start taking care of myself. I was a pack and a half of cigarettes a day, drinking 18 pack, 2 shots of Fireball a day guy. That was my life. And my son my wife would be like, oh, he wasn't that bad. My oldest son would be like, an 18 pack was on nights that you didn't drink. Like gotcha.
I don't drink alcohol anymore. Like I may on occasion have a drink at dinner or something like that. But yeah, years of working in the ER night shift and getting off work at 7 a.m. and going day drinking until noon. It really wreaks havoc on your body, and also lack of sleep and eating shit food and not being in the right mental frame of mind. All not good things.
Oh yeah. So I quit smoking, and I quit smoking, put on another 45 pounds, I would say.
For sure. Because your cortisol levels need a little boost, and if they're not getting it.
Yeah. So, and then I'm like, okay. So after that, I went, all right. When I started, I was like 355, 352, 355, somewhere in between there. And I was like, okay, I turned 38. When I hit 40, I'm going to be 235. When I hit 40, I'm going to be working for myself. I'm no longer be working for any other asshole. I can't do that no more because that is bad on my mental health.
Correct.
And then I'm going to be working for myself doing something, and I'm going to be 235 pounds, and I'm no longer going to be smoking. And I quit smoking. I basically quit drinking, to be honest with you. That was a kicker. And what I would do is what I do is I go on for 2-3 months strong on a diet, workout, and I will lose 20-30 pounds. And then I'll stop for 2 months, and instead of losing, and I'll eat whatever I want, because everybody loves pizza. I love my burgers. I like my French fries. I like that shit. I want ice cream. All the bad shit. Little Debbie's, everything. I like it. You know what I mean? I'm a gluttonous guy. That is my stuff.
It's so funny that you just said that.
What is that?
Do you know what I have sitting right here on my desk beside me?
What is that? Little Debbie? Nice.
My dog just ate her hat.
Dude, hey, I'm a Swiss cake roll guy. I love my Swiss cake rolls. I'm just saying.
I haven't had any of I can't even last time I've had that.
So, So I literally do that. I'll drop 20-30 pounds, and then I might 5-10 pounds. Might bounce back up, and then I'll go hard again. And then
Yeah.
So I'm in my kind of my off cycle. I try to basically make the off cycle the summer because I like brats, I like meat, I like pulled pork, I like all that shit, and I like
baseball,
to cook it,
all that stuff.
all of it. So
gotta have brats in a baseball game.
there's nothing better.
Cool. One of the things you should totally start doing though is think about yoga. And I know people are like, oh, fuck yoga. It's so dumb. But I swear to you right now, yoga saved my life. And I'm not like, by the way, I'm not a little skinny yoga bitch, in case anybody didn't notice. I didn't go to yoga classes or anything. I just had a jacked up back for a long time. And I have arthritis too, you know. Like it's that total Midwestern, you know, you've eaten nothing but gluten and lactose and all the shit foods for years. And so your body responds by inflammation in the joints because you're eating shit food. That's part of it.
I had my, so we were supposed to do this last week, but obviously last week was a
shit show.
So last week I had doctor's appointments because I had for my claims. I'm filing my claims for the VA.
Yeah.
From injuries that anybody that is in the military or currently go get your file. If you are out of the military, file your VA claims. Get what is owed to you. Go get it, because I thought couple of fluke knee injuries were nothing, and now it hurts to go upstairs.
Right. And and just as a plug for one of my friends, she owns a company called Valor for Vets. Valor, VALOR, number 4, vets. And what she does is helps people. She's a physician's assistant. She's a dope ass chick. You love her.
I'll let her come on. Hey, tell her to come on. I'll come on and tell her she wants to promote. I'll fucking promote.
She does medical reviews. She owns a company that she hires other providers, and they go through your medical records. I worked with her for a little bit, but Jesus God, have you seen the medical records that veterans have?
Oh, I get it.
I was trying to do it as a side job, and it was just so much stuff to read that it was. But if you have Valor for Vets, look it up.
Yeah, if she wants to come, tell her if she wants to come on and talk. I'd love to have her on here.
Totally.
But we went and did all that, and then young Jamie and his adventures back home.
He flew American Airlines too, though, right? American Airlines. I'm not happy with you, American Airlines. You suck. Whatever's going on, that they've got pilot issues and whatever. Like, I understand storms and that sort of thing, but man, don't hold people hostage on planes for long periods of time like that. It sucks so bad.
So he obviously, his Jeep broke down. He got a flight out of St. Louis that night.
Yeah.
It went from St. Louis to Chicago to Lexington. And then he lives, I guess, an hour and a half from Lexington.
Yeah, hour and a half.
So I drop him off at the airport. He goes and checks in. And he goes through security. So it took him like maybe 15, 20 minutes to do all that. I'm already leaving and down the highway, and he texts me, my flight's already delayed an hour.
Oh my God. It's the worst feeling
So
ever.
he flies into Chicago. His connecting flight was supposed to leave at 8:50. He is running to the gate. He says, as they are closing the door on him, and they're like, doors closed, can't do nothing. Plane's gone. See ya.
And it makes you feel so sad. It's like your parents left you in the middle of the desert at a gas station.
He's like, okay.
Right. So it's awful.
So he has to stay in Chicago, flies in. When he gets in to Lexington, his mom picks him up, and he's driving back. He finds out they switched his schedule on him. And instead of being at work at 4:30 or 4 o'clock, he had to be in at 2 o'clock. He's looking at the clock going, it's 11 o'clock now. I'm an hour and a half from my house. He literally had enough time to go home, shower, and change.
At least he got a shower.
And then go to work.
Oh, poor James.
His luggage stayed in Chicago.
Of course it did.
And then they had to deliver that to him the next day.
It's the worst when you're like, that's why for the longest time, I probably haven't checked the bag unless I'm going to go like back home to Ohio or Kentucky for a couple days, like a week or so. Yeah. I travel very lightly because I refuse to have my shit maimed and broken and lost. I hate that. It's the worst.
So he borrowed one of my bags, like one of my old luggage bags, and the nameplate is broken off. And I went to go switch it out, and I didn't have another one. So I literally took a sticky note wrote his name, and
Did
then
you
wrote
put young Jamie on it?
and then wrote AKA Magic Thunder.
Oh, shut your mouth right now.
Oh, by the way, did I tell you the name tag was broke?
Yes.
So I duct taped it with Gorilla Black duct tape to this
God.
bag. It could not look more fucking Hoosier. It could not look more fucking Hoosier. So when he's at the airport
that bad looking Hoosier, is that Indiana? Like, is that what you're saying? Okay.
So in St. Louis, we call like rednecks. We call the rednecks we call them Hoosiers. Here.
Oh, okay.
In Indiana. So when you meet someone from Indiana, like, oh, you fucking Hoosier, like, how'd you know I was from Indiana? I'm like, no, I'm calling you an idiot, like an idiot.
Oh, okay.
Like,
I was
the
like,
redneck.
Hoosier was.
Yeah, I call everyone a Hoosier. Like, if I call you a Hoosier, I call everyone a Hoosier. I call myself a Hoosier.
Call me redneck. I'm okay with that.
I call everyone. I'm like, hey man, I'm just a dirtball Hoosier from Missouri. What do you want me to do?
I'm an angel from Kentucky. There.
Yeah, we'll go with that. So Jamie goes to the bags plane, and the only thing that you can read on this duct tape piece of sticky note is Magic Thunder. So young Jamie has to go to the baggage center. He was like, hey, my bag is not here, blah, blah. They're like, yeah, it's still in Chicago. We know where it's at. They're like, what's the name on it? He's like, Magic Thunder. And the lady's like, I'm sorry, what was that? He's like, so my uncle, and she's like, no, I don't need a story. What's the name on it? And he's like, Magic Thunder. And she goes, Jamie goes, that lady literally went down, looked at her watch and goes, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I just got here. I thought it was going to be a boring ass fucking Tuesday. Thank you. And fucking started laughing. And she goes, right. Jamie goes, this lady turned around and fucking, she turned around and then turned around and looked at me and she goes, had fucking tears down her face because here's 6'5", 200-pound young Jamie, long hair, Fanta tattooed on hand, going Magic Thunder.
This kid has a Fanta tattoo on his hand. He's so sweet, though. He's such Jamie, I hope you listen to this and you know that we just love your little face.
It's the funniest fucking thing in the world.
He's so cute.
So goofy.
And his fact that you guys are his positive male role models is a little alarming.
Who I am? What, me?
No, all of you guys together. It's kind of like.
No. So I've known Jamie's dad for 20 plus years. Well, a little over 20 years and some change. I was in the Navy with him.
Gotcha.
Here's where I will say I fucked up. This is my fault. His mom and dad be like, no, you're fine. He was going to be this way anyways. I will take this one on the chin and the chink of my armor. So when I was getting out of the, like last year in the Navy, I was stationed in Pascagoula, Mississippi on the Thomas S. Gates. We were on deployment. There's a hurricane that hit called Katrina. I don't know if anybody ever heard of it. So it wiped out our naval base that was in Pascagoula, Mississippi, destroyed the South. I don't know if anybody heard of it or anything like that. It was a small storm.
I mean,
so they moved us.
I've heard.
So we were on deployment. We were in South America when all this was going down. And the captain kind of was trying to hid it from us, but he didn't tell us until the last possible minute. When we started realizing the sun was on the left side of the ship and not the right side of the ship, or vice versa, wherever we're heading south, however you want to talk it. When we were supposed to be heading south, we're like, why are we heading north? And we're like, oh, by the way, there's a fucking century big storm about ready to wipe out all of our families. Right. So they canceled the deployment. They ended up decomming our ship, and I was living in Mayport, Florida. And my buddy Bo was like, dude, you're not living on the birthing barge. You're coming to live with me and my family. So they took me in. Bo and his wife, Stephanie. And at the time, a young, his and their kids, and then a very young Jamie, who's like 4.
He's the sweetest kid.
And I didn't realize the effect that you have on people until later in life. Like young minds are very
pliable.
So Jamie's mom's a masseuse. She got hired to do work the tattoo convention in Jacksonville, Florida, and we got free tickets. Well, I'm tattooed obviously everywhere. We're huge tattoo fans. We're like, fuck yeah. Well, I was hanging out with Jamie that day, because he wanted to hang out with me. So I went, hey man, let's go see your mom at work. I get these tickets. Let's go. I went and seen his mom at the tattoo convention, and I had a 4-year-old with me walking around a tattoo convention in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
His dad called me. He was like, hey man, where you at? I'm like, hey man, I'm seeing your wife at work. And he goes, oh, me too. Where you at? I'm like, he goes, don't you have Jamie? I'm like, yeah. He goes, whatever. That was everyone. Whatever. Got Jamie with him. That's fine. He's safe. He's at a tattoo park.
Right.
Well,
but you know what? It's the whole community of people that help rear your children, that help them become the people that they are, right?
I took him to go get his tattoo. I took him to his first tattoo convention. I was there when he got his ear pierced because I went, hey, don't be a wuss. Get your ear pierced. Let's go. And went and took him, got his ear pierced. Like, it's my fault. Like, I look at him like, this is partially me. This is my chink in my, like, doing haha jokes to irritate your mom and dad. Clearly, I could have taken a different approach.
Right.
Maybe don't take you get your ear pierced. Let's not take you to a tattoo parlor when you're 4 and allow them to apply a printout on your back.
Well, at least did you take him to a cool place to get his ear pierced?
Claire's Boutique. We were at the mall at Claire's
That's
Boutique.
where I took my son too. I love that video. I have a video of my son when I think he was maybe 16, maybe ish, 15, 16.
He was 4. He was 4. His dad was with me. It's fine. It wasn't like I just kidnapped a kid, went and took him to get his ear pierced, and like, hey, look what I did to your kid.
I was just curious.
No, his dad was with me. His dad.
You know, that's the thing. So after all these years, and after you know, like you as a parent, because you're a parent, you know, you get it. As a parent, you have to think of what kind of people are you going to incorporate into the lives of the other humans that you have now brought onto this planet. And I have some really amazing people in my life, you know, like I always have. Not all of them were raised like I was, right? Yeah. And I think that you need that to allow for them to figure out their own way, because it's important, right? Like, so, you know, like there's a big push now. Did you know this, that there's a big push to not include genders on birth certificates any longer? Like you're not going to be listed as male or female. Have you heard this?
Listen, do not. Okay. I'm gonna save this because we're recording our episode of the podcast, or the next episode tonight after this.
Yeah.
And I have a story.
Oh, okay.
Of something, and I don't care. Okay. I know what you're saying. They're not going to put genders on there. I get it. Whatever. Fine. Don't do that, because whatever. I don't. If you want to call me and tell me that you want to identify as Captain Kirk of the Starfleet Enterprise, I will be like, okay, Captain Kirk of the Starfleet Enterprise, what can I do for you today to, to make sure you are happy? I am that person. What do we have to do to get your dreams to make you happy?
Right.
It's when they throw in other words that have different definitions. That
I know. Okay. I know. I totally get it.
It's a pretty funny story because it has to do with, I can't wait to tell it. And it's fucking hilarious. And it's one of the because, you know, everyone knows me. Everyone that's talked to me goes, dude, you are one of the lovable, dumb guys ever. You're a big dumb animal. You'll ask questions just because and everyone thinks you're being an asshole. And it's because you're genuinely curious.
Right.
You know, and everyone thinks you're an asshole because because I don't have couth. I get it. I understand. It's something I don't have. I don't have kid gloves. I'm sorry. I apologize. I blame my parents for that one because they don't have it either.
But just think, if your parents were friends with some really nice and docile people who were able to communicate in a different way, you would have learned something a little bit different back then, and then you wouldn't be who you are.
No. They do, because I did because I actually communicate.
Right. Oh yeah, I see.
And I go and talk, and I am not afraid to talk, and I will.
Right.
My parents are great. I love my parents. They never did anything or never, but if they won't talk to you unless they have to, like they're those people. Like they are completely happy talking to themselves. Like they're not here to be entertained or to entertain. And that's how they are. And they don't give a fuck about feelings, like at all. Like me, on the other hand, I will take a little bit softer approach when I'm talking to him.
Right. Well, because you've learned that. You can only know what you've learned, right?
But it's
so you build on it.
Oh yeah. So, but it took me being like, I don't have kids of my own. I have step kids. I have 3 amazing step kids because I was the guy who's going to be single and never wanted kids. So I am so intelligent. I married a woman with 3 kids. That's how smart I
am. My husband did too. He's so smart.
I am.
He has a son of his own.
I didn't want that. If I do have a kid out there, I'm sorry, I didn't know about you. First of all. And second of all, come hang out. We can be friends. We can talk. We'll hang out. We'll get to know each other. I promise you.
If there is someone out there, couch with Nurse Thor.
You mean, I tell everyone, I'm the greatest uncle in the world. I never wanted kids, but I'm the greatest uncle. I love my kids, step kids. I love my nieces and my nephews, and there's certain kids I do hang out that I adopt. Like I always tell them, there's always a home here. You always have food. There's always a pillow. There's always a blanket.
And that's the most, see what you're just saying right there, I think is the most important part of being a human being and interacting with others.
Yeah.
It's not that you have to give your entire self to somebody and let them take advantage of you, but to offer loving kindness and, like a place to sleep, a place to eat, whatever, I think that's a mark of a great human. That's how I gauge. Like, that's why I think that we get along. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, for all of you watching or listening, these Skype calls that you guys do are fucking so funny. I can't stand myself sometimes. I'm racing to get off work so I can get on these calls because it's the best. It's one of the funniest parts of my day. I get to drive home and listen to them going, nope, can't hear you. Nope, can't hear you.
Or you have a shroom episode. That happens.
Shroom episode. Yeah.
Those are
anyway.
Fun. Yeah, those are fun.
Cool. Shit, but those are the kind of people like honestly, I'm getting ready. Jason Miller from Miller's Military Moments podcast, he and I are going to start a new podcast. I'm just letting this cat out of the bag right now.
Oh,
yeah. So it's called Table Talk with PB. That's me and Jay. Because his name is Jason. Nice. And we're gonna he's a military veteran. He's the Air Force for 20-30 years. I can't remember, Jason. Sorry if you're listening to this, sweetheart. But anyway, he just retired from the Air Force and he's trying to get his life together. And he has an awesome podcast if you like historical military kind of stuff. And he has some really cool shit on PTSD that he's doing. Great. He has great guests. But one of the things that we want to do is, we were talking one day because I had him on my show. We talked about how you get your own private time when you're, overseas or you're away from your partner or whatever.
Happy clunkers.
He was like, you go into porta potties. That's when I'm like, holy shit.
Happy clunkers.
Really? Is that what it's called?
That's what I call them. I dubbed it. I kind of just stole it. I put it in Urban Dictionary. I don't know if it took though, but I call it a happy clunker. It's time management. It's time management, and it's masturbating while taking a shit. That's what I call it. Happy clunker.
Well, for fuck's sake, that's awesome.
But
anyway.
And that's what I call them. I'm going to start it as a thing. I put it in Urban Dictionary. Hopefully it starts taking, but that's what my wife thinks I'm gross when I'm talking about. I'm like, it's not about when your fetish is you're shitting and you're drinking. No, it's because, oh, fuck, I'm here. I have to be on watch in 15 minutes. Huh. Most military dudes are.
And anal stimulation is really good for you, John.
I'm not fucking shoving a finger on my. No, I'm taking a shit and I'm just rubbing one out.
It's fine. Whatever. That's right. That pressure on your prostate on both sides.
Gotcha. But I see what you're saying. But
it works for you.
Or if you're in a flight, say you're in an airplane and you're one of those nervous Nellies on an airplane. What's a good way to fucking help you relax? Rub one out. Well, hit the end butt. Oh well. You're right there, knock it out, get it out. Take the 2 minutes and you'll feel better.
beyond that part, Jason and I are going to be talking about positive stories from the day. And there's a way that you can nominate a veteran, like a veteran-owned business or a veteran that's doing great things in the world, or a veteran that's bringing attention to some things that need to be done. But there's a way that you can be nominated, and like there's some things that we're putting together. Jason's awesome, like. Dude. He's a trooper. Although I will say, and this is so funny, and I know that I'm the same way, like medical dramas, as I'm watching them, I'm like, oh my God, like, do you see they have like an oxygen tubing for an IV or something like that? I mean, it's some dumb shit. So he asked me to do some graphic stuff, right? And so I'm putting together these things with what I think are the same helicopters and soldiers that whatever. And he's like, no, we can't use that. That's not an Air Force guy. That's like a foreign soldier. And I'm like, well, what the fuck? So, I don't know. I don't know the difference between a Black Hawk and any other helicopter. Like, I don't know.
I'll tell you true to God story. I tell you true to God story. So me and my wife got married in October 2014. And this is what we got married on 10/4/14. Ask me why. Because I know 10 plus 4 equals 14. That's how I remember my anniversary. My wife was not fucking happy when she found that out. I went, listen, I got to make it easy on me because I know I'm an idiot. Okay. So, and plus it really worked out because my nephew was home from South Korea because that's where he was stationed at the time. He was able to be part of the wedding. And even though it was a small little fucking wedding, we got married. All right, where was I with this story? Oh, I used to travel all the time when we first got married. And this guy was kind of fucking me over, and I knew he was kind of fucking me over with some money. So I wrote out my outline for my resume. I was redoing my resume, so I wrote out my outline in a notebook because I have to write everything down first, and then I can type it out, because if I type everything out, I'll screw it up. I'm one of those people that have to write. Literally, I have a notebook within 5 feet of me at all times. I'm that guy.
I won't even tell you. I've got 15 laying right
now. I have one in my truck. I got one in my nightstand. I have sticky notes everywhere. My wife thinks I'm a psychopath. Actually, my wife and kids think I'm a psychopath. Yep.
That's this is the one this is the moneymaker idea. So this one.
So I wrote out my resume, and I had to go out of town, and this dude pissed me the fuck off. But this boss of mine pissed me off. And I went, and I was on the phone at the same time. This guy made me mad. Somebody called me, reached out to me, was like, hey man, I want your resume. I want you to come work for me.
Nice.
I went, all right, man, done. I called my wife, and mind you, we've been married for 2 months at the time. My wife is a Marine Corps brat. My father-in-law did 22 years in the Marines. I was in the Navy for 5 plus years.
And he let her marry you?
Hey, I'm the favorite.
Oh, nice.
I'm just going to say that.
All right.
That's how good I am. Oh, when me and him first met, me and my wife worked together before we started dating, and I quit and went to another job. And the first time I met him, my wife came in and was introduced him. He was like, oh, Dad, this is that sailor. This is John. I went, oh, how you doing today? Nice to meet you, sir. He goes, oh, how are you? He goes, oh, I didn't. He goes, I was 22 years Marines. I'm like, oh, congratulations. He goes, you know what they say about those squids? He goes, always good for a ride. I'm like, yep. I'm like us squids, and I'm like, this motherfucker right here. And didn't help that he's only 5'5" and I'm 6'2", and he's coming in and piping the fuck off like this to me. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? Right off. I'm like, sir. And like, first time I'm meeting someone, I'm like, yes, sir. No, sir. I'm very polite. I believe in manners. This dude goes like this. Is like, this is always good for a ride. Wants to insult me about sailors. I look at him like, yeah, us sailors. I'm like, you know what they at least say about us sailors? What's that? I'm like, we are gentlemen. Why is that? I'm like, because we give all of our bitches rides, and just fucking walked off. I'm like, nice to meet you. I'm like, fuck this dude. I'm like, I was mad. Like, I wasn't mad, but I'm just kind of like, what an asshole, and just kind of walked off.
Because you can't pull out Jarhead your first shot out.
No, I can't head a silo like that. I can't do shit like that. So I was like, drop mic, walked off, went back to work doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
A couple hours go by, and I run into my future wife, this lady Andrea that I'm working with. She's like, I'm like, oh, your dad leave? I'm like, oh, how's your dad? She goes, my dad thinks you're fucking hilarious. I'm like, what? She goes, he can't believe he was just like, that dude's got balls. He's awesome. Fast forward a couple of years, then we start dating, and There's something he's like, dude, he goes, you were always a good dude. He goes, like, I knew, he goes, I said something to you. He goes, you don't bat an eye to nobody. He goes, and I'm okay with that. I went, oh, you're that dick. You're the guy who has to push a button first to see. And he's not like that at all. I don't know why he did it to me, but he did. I think he just thought, oh, this guy just, he kind of just went, I'm going to fuck with him first and see what he does. But I guess I don't know, whatever my wife said behind it, this is John the sailor. That's what she said. And that's how I was introduced. And then that's my wife. Boop. Yeah.
That's awesome that at least you guys get along,
Oh yeah. I get what's that?
Go ahead. Oh,
I get along with my in-laws. My in-laws are great. I get along with them sometimes better than I get along with my own family. It's crazy. That's because we're all dope smoking hippies. That's what my father.
Oh, is that it?
But here, when I first started smoking weed again, I threw on my back last year pretty badly. It looked like a question mark, and that's how I started smoking weed again. I'm like, my joints feel better. My back feels better.
Who knew?
During the middle of a pandemic, my father-in-law goes, hey man, don't go to the hospital. You'll get that COVID. I don't want you going to the hospital. We didn't know what the fuck was going on at this time. We didn't know how this is all going to happen. You'll get COVID. I got something for the pain. I don't know. You don't smoke. Got you. He like dropped like 2 joints off in the mailbox and drove home. Like, dude was great. Like, rock star. I went, oh, this is what smoking weed does. I get it now. Like, I don't hurt no more.
Oh, and also makes other people way more funny.
Yeah. Oh, a couple of my wife's friends who I would rather hit in the head with a ball bat wrapped in barbed wire. I'm like, oh, you're
That's
actually
a strong
not.
Feeling.
No, I say shit like that just to get reactions. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not bluntly murdering people.
Oh, well, let me just tell you, when I say I'll slit your throat, it's a thought.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm going to
do it anymore.
I'm not saying I haven't pictured it. You know what I mean? But no.
Right now, my hands are wrapped around your throat currently, right now. That's what I like. Yes. Like, if you knew.
What do you like? I had a dude. Anyways, I mean, those people aren't less annoying. And then like a couple, like I smoked that, and like I guess like a week went by, and like my father-in-law gave a couple more. I got a couple more joints here and there from other friends and stuff like that to help with the deal with his back pain. And my wife come out, and she goes, "So, me and the kids were talking." Because I'm open and honest with my kids. I tell them, we talk about drugs. We talk about, like, if our kids know if they have a question, they can come to me. Or come to one of us and ask a blunt and honest question. And we were like, okay, first of all, how did you get here? And then let's see what we can do moving forward to make you understand this better or answer this question correctly. And we'll have these conversations. So when it comes, like, my oldest boy, when he was in high school, he goes, I want to try drugs. I'm like, what kind of drugs? He's like, well, I want to try marijuana. I'm like, that's fine. I'm like, if you come up to me like, hey man, let's talk about, I want to do cocaine. I'm like, we're going to have a conversation real quick. Right. I'm like, you're smoking weed. It's a plant. You're fine. I'm like, don't drive. Know what you're doing. Don't do a lot. Don't go overboard. You don't need to test your limits on your first day. Mm-hmm. Let's baby. I'm like, always baby step it.
Right.
I'm like, he was like, oh, okay. So, we have these conversations. So when my wife come out and she's like, so me and the kids were talking. I went, okay. And I'm sitting on the back porch watching a ball game. She's like, so we love you. I'm like, okay. I'm like, are you guys leaving? Like, you guys leaving me? Like, what's going on here? She's like, we like High John instead of Drunk John. I'm like, what? And she goes, we like High John. High John we can talk to. High John we can funny. High John isn't making it, like, when we do screw up, he isn't belittling us to the point where we feel dumb. High John is like, all right, you know why you screwed up? Do you know why that was dumb? And ask questions. He isn't the one going, all right, dummy, let me explain where you fucked up. He's the one who's like, how did you get here? And I just realized, I'm like, and I realized all in, like, especially like, and anybody who does, and I talked about this on my podcast many a times, and my friends who are probably hearing, or people who listen to the podcast who maybe listen to this are like, dude, we fucking heard you, but fuck, you're gonna hear it again. And I'm a huge believer in all the P's, like all the positives that marijuana bring in. I'm a better parent. I'm more patient. You know, I'm a better person. You know, all the P's. All there comes a lot of and I heard Ryan Strickler talk about shit like that. And I literally and he's the one who kind of, I'm like, dude, he is right. There are a lot of P's that come. I'll give him credit for it. You know, even though he'll never hear this. But it's great. I'm not drunk. Like, I used to be a drunk.
Well, it makes you different. It fucks with your internal organs. It makes your skin shit. You like, think about what your face looked like when you were drinking all the time. Think about that. Like, your face changes when you stop drinking alcohol. I mean, I've always been super cute. No, I'm just kidding. I was an ugly fucking child, let me tell you.
I was an ugly child that grew up being, I was an ugly child. Giant glasses.
Yeah.
I was an ugly child that grew up to be an ugly man. So
stop it right now. You're not ugly, you're a sweetheart. But just being that you know, growing up and knowing eventually that's what you have to be something. Let me see.
So this was taken a year ago because I was sitting in my cubicle for this company that I worked for at the time. And I was like bored out of my mind.
That's not you, really?
Yeah, that was me a year ago. That was me almost a year to the day. That was like,
no kidding.
Yeah, that's was me. Nuts. Mm-hmm. And that was.
See, if you go to Santa Fe, then you'll look like that.
I have family, so here's I saw shit. We almost doing this for fucking 2 hours.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
Holy fuck. Here, I'll tell you this quick story about Santa Fe and I'll fucking let you get out of here and let you promote whatever you got and I'll let you continue on with your day.
Eat me some breakfast. I'm hungry.
So the last time I was in Santa Fe, this was years ago. Put it this way, I was still in the Navy. This is probably 20 years ago, the last time I flew into Santa Fe Airport. And I remember
there's no water there. It's terrible. There's no greenery. It's rough.
At the time, I think I'm flying Southwest. I was flying from St. Louis. I was under 21. So definitely I was 20 years old when this happened because I flew Southwest I was flying into San Diego. My mom and my sisters were in New Mexico on vacation at the time, visiting family and up or Endino. It begins with an E and it's just up north of Santa Fe. I don't know what the name of the town is. It's E.
It was Dorado.
I don't think that's it. It doesn't. Anyways, I get on my plane at 6:00 in the morning in St. Louis, and I sit in emergency row with my back towards the pilot. All of a sudden, this guy peeks his head around the corner and goes one of these things, and sees me, and he goes and snaps, and then two guys follow and sit down. I'm like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah.
Stewardess comes by and making sure and everything. And this dude reaches up, grabs her hand and goes, hey, he goes, how much would it going to cost for me to get 4 beers and 4 shots of Jack Daniels or 4 airplane bottles of Jack Daniels right now? He goes, how much is it going to cost me? And she goes, sir, we're still at the gate. People are still getting on. He goes, that's not my question. How much is it going to cost me? How much money do I have to give you for you to go back there and grab me 4 Bud Lights and 4? He goes, make it 8 Bud Lights and 8 shots of Jack Daniels. How much is it going to cost me right now? I got cash in my pocket. He goes, here's a $50 bill. Why don't you go get those? And she goes, okay. I'm like, what the fuck is this dude doing? So I'm like, all right. So I'm not really paying attention. I'm like putting in my earphones. Put it this way. This is still the day where you had a CD player.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You know what I'm talking about? And you had to make mixed CDs to take everywhere.
Yes.
So you could listen to the same 20 songs over and over again.
I'm a huge fan.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, so we go and this guy comes and I'm sitting there. All of a sudden the stewardess comes up and she goes, here you go. And he goes, squid. Here you go. Well, what? He goes, Navy. I went, yeah. He goes, here, take these, and hands me 2 beers and 2 airplane bottles of Jack Daniels.
Nice.
And I went, hey, I'm not. He goes, shut up.
Aww.
I went, so I'm sitting there. Come to find out, this is a gunny sergeant in the United States Marine Corps and 2 of his Marines. Then they're flying back to San Diego
Oh, nice.
Noticed me in the airport by myself and I had a manila envelope. He's like, this dude's something, and walked by me, and I fired off a comment, and he goes, that dude's in the Navy. He goes,
Yeah.
I'm finding him, and made a mental note. He goes, I seen you at our gate. He goes, I made a mental note, like, this dude's in the Navy. I'm coming to party. I'm going to go hang out with him. He goes, you're fresh. He goes, you're fresh. I can tell you're fresh. I stepped off the airport. In the airport, we had an hour and a half layover in Santa Fe. My mom and my sisters are meeting me. This is before 9/11, so people can still meet you at the gate. I step off the plane, and this dude walks up to my mom straight up and goes, are you this boy's mom? Yeah. He goes, hell of a man you're making right there, and walks off. And my mom's like,
so cool.
My mom's like, what the fuck is going on? I step off, and my mom sees me. She goes, you're fucking drunk. I went, yeah. And my sisters are like, oh my God. They're like, and my sisters are dying laughing. They're like, fuck yeah. And I'm like, my mom's like, are you fucking, we partied the entire flight from
awesome
St. Louis to Santa Fe. We're in the airport. I seen my mom for 10 minutes. My mom was just like, all right, I forgot my mom and my sister were meeting me. My mom's like, love you. I'll see you when you're in St. Louis next time. See you, mijo. And left. We partied in the airport. We get on our plane, and we partied the entire flight. Dude, we had the back part of this guy was holding court. Yeah. Like, it was like all rules and regulations were thrown out.
Right.
For leaving Santa Fe into San Diego, this guy was just holding court in the back. This dude was a lifer Marine. I'm like, this is insane. I'm like, I should have joined the Marines. It was fun. But I remember being in the Santa Fe airport, and my mom just being like, I cannot believe how drunk you are. And I remember you had to walk outside to go. Smoke. And I was walking outside smoking. I was talking with my mom and my sisters. My sisters are dying laughing. My sisters are 9 and 10 years older than me. They're losing their minds laughing at their drunk fucking underage brother who is loud,
drunk off his ass,
loud, obnoxious, and is just starting to find like his voice as a person. And they're just dying laughing. My mom is just like, oh, mijo, why? And then they leave. I go back into the bar, and this guy's like, hey, tequila. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do this thing. And it was crazy. I was like, oh my God. And then you're like talking about that airport. I remember falling in the bathroom, and they had this weird tile. It was insane.
That's the weird thing about the airports in New Mexico, because I was in Albuquerque and in Santa Fe. Why have tile floors that when you drag your rolly suitcase across them, it makes oh my gosh, think better. That happened in an ER that I worked in years ago. They didn't think about dragging people on carts across these giant, like the big industrial sized tile. So as you're taking a patient to the floor, it's like dunk, 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 and they're feeling it the whole time. It's like, shit, this is ghetto. What are we doing?
I know you should try it when like there's a limb missing, like, or a thumb chopped off, or a bad back. It's the worst.
I mean, I treat people. I don't go to places like that. I don't go there unless I'm getting paid. That's what I like to tell people. I don't know.
You're one of those. So if I call you, I'm like, I'm in Seattle. I'm like, hey, Pollyanna, I'm in Seattle. I just got hurt. I'm on my way to this hospital. You're going to be like, don't go there. Don't go to that. No.
Don't go to that one particularly.
Do not go to that hospital. You will not come out. I just broke my leg, honestly, though. No.
Yeah. Honestly, I have disassociated myself from a lot of the hospitals around. I just work for a clinic, and I love it, and it's awesome, and I can't be mad at it. But it's lovely to be where I am. I love my life.
That's awesome. Fuck, I thank you for. I fucking took up like 2 hours of your time. I only said I was going to take like an hour. I think it's been almost 2 hours.
I know, but it's cool.
It's cool. We'll have to. Thank you for coming on and doing it. Tell everyone again what you do, where they can find you, all that wonderful stuff.
So I do a little podcast called Buried Pleasures, and the theme of it is pirate, because I'm fucking pirate queen. So there are a lot of different pieces and parts to my show, but anyway, it's all about pleasure and fun and that kind of thing. So buriedpleasures.com. If you want to look for Buried Pleasures, the podcast, we're on Apple, Spotify, iTunes, whatever, all of those blah, blah, blah things. Anyway, Or you can find me at Twitter, Buried Pleasures. Please hit me up and message me if you have ideas to talk about, sexual questions, things, whatever. I'm here. So yeah, check it out.
PollyAnna, once again, thank you for coming on here and doing the fucking joint hour with me, even though I didn't even smoke a joint early.
Oh my God.
I really didn't. I didn't. Literally, I lit one at the beginning like I normally do, and I didn't even finish it. We're fucking chit-chatting too much. I should tell you, that's awesome. That's a good that's a sign of a good podcast.
I mean, authenticity is where it's at, right? You
that's
gotta be
it.
If you're real with yourself, you can never be offended.
I know. I really do. We'll have to do this again. I know. I love the skull. I do.
That's my pirate. This is when I drink my tea out of.
Nice. Once again.
Anyway, it was lovely to be here, John. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do it again sometime. I'm sure we will.
I hope so.
All right. Thanks for listening, or thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Bye.